And we have a cat because she can't not be on camera while we're doing workshops. Syart, I need you to type exclamation point roll space 1D100. This is in media res. We are just starting with the action, and we'll worry about the explanation for what we're doing in just a moment. 75. All right, we have a male character. Now, Syart, go to bed. Go to sleep. And, Syart, thank you for hanging out as long as you did. Be well, my friend. Now, now that Syart has been released, Coffee Cat has gone to bed as well. Yep, Cat Butt. If y'all got the Cat Butt emote, this is the time to share it. Meow. Yep, there we go. We got some Cat Butt. That's what it's there for. Alright, so what are we doing? We are making 2 characters tonight because to set up for our DM workshop about creating an adventure, we first need to set up our roleplay activity, going from being a DM that's a little confused and wants some help to make an adventure to now we are the DM's friends or family members who have been asked to play. We've been given an allowance of what would be, you know, what sources are available. And in order to provide our DM with characters to consider, we have to make those characters. So we made 2 awesome characters last night, and tonight we're going to make 2 awesome more characters. They're going to be level 4. And for those of you who want to participate, I call on people in chat. If you want to lock in a role, you can spend inspiration points to do so. Right now, all that's held is Raz is rolling for background, Chris wants to roll for race, and Kromdrade would like to roll a stat. So perhaps that is one of the personality traits of either, well, the personality traits or the ideal bond and flaw. Some other things that can be rolled, if any of you want to reserve it, with inspiration points, would be alignment. And it could be if we take a feat or an ability score improvement. We do have then personality traits or ideal bond and flaw. It looks like no one has locked in class or subclass. Depending on the subclass, there may be features. Then, of course, age, height, and weight. And there could be some other things that come up here and there, too. So if any of you want to lock those in, otherwise I'll call on random people. I'll call on random people in chat to help us generate the characters. The minis are done. It's time to get up on the desk, yep, and tell these people that my human. Oh my, yeah, look at this. She's, thank you. Apparently you don't think I'm sufficiently enough clean. Like, no, you don't have me. You don't smell like me. You're mine. Alright, so to get us started, Syart rolled that we have a male character. And so next up, we have character race. And Chris, will you please roll a 50-sided die in chat to determine what our race is going to be? Alright, well, Kung Fu, don't worry. It's a simple command. In fact, Kung Fu, I will help get you initiated. You can help me out with this. You rolled a 26. We have a Kenku. So we have a turtle, a horse, and a bird. I guess we're playing Humblewood. Alright, so we have a Kenku character. Can I have my hand? Ma'am? Can I have my hand, please? No? Why are your claws very subtly continuing to dig into me? Oh, okay. Thank you. Are we finished? No? Is this your hand? I need it back. Oh. Well, oh, we're sitting pretty. Okay, we can sit pretty. Alright, well. Is this a cat stream now, everyone? Alright, bye. Bye. I cleaned out the comb too. It is, well, kind of. It is ready to go. It is ready to pull the fuzz from her. I'll fill this up. I fill this up every night. Alright, so we have a male Kenku. Up here. There we go. Male Kenku. Next up, there's no sub-races for it, so we have alignment. And so what, Kung Fu Grasshopper, what I'd like you to do, we're going to use the balanced odds. I would like you to type !roll space 1D100 to determine the alignment of this character. You rolled a 53, and so Kung Fu gave us a true neutral character. Kenkus are medium-sized burbs. All right, let us continue. And Kung Fu, thank you for helping out. Now we know that we're making a level 4 character, though we can roll. Chris, you reserve this roll. Can you give me a D100 to determine if we're going to take all ASIs or if we're going to take a feat instead? Rolls a 22. We're going to take an ability score improvement. Let's see, we're level 4. Alright, it is now time to roll for background. Raz, will you roll a 78-sided die in chat for me, please? And Crumdrade, are you still out there? I don't see you in chat, Crumdrade, so we might have to... If you come back for the second character, maybe we can redeem it. Unless the list hasn't updated. We have another Acolyte. Interesting. Another Acolyte. What are the odds? 1 in 78. All right. After Fov, will you give me 2 personality traits on 2 D8s? And then Oro, are you still around? Oro, if you are, can you please type !roll space 3D6? After Fov gives us the personality traits of number 3 and number 4. And it doesn't matter, we don't know what they are right now. We're just looking for placeholders. You'll see the method to our madness here as it manifests in front of you. Think of this like a Bob Ross painting. We start with a blank canvas, and by the time it's done, we're going to have a really pretty picture. Oro may have stepped away. If there's others in chat that haven't rolled yet too, let me know. The odds of 2 Acolytes in one of our parties is 1 in 6,084. Let's call on, actually, Cold Spark. Cold Spark, you haven't rolled on this character. Can you give me the ideal bond and flaw on a 3d6 roll? 2, 2, and 1. Very good, thank you. Okay, it is now time to roll for the class. No one has locked this one in. Bullet. Bullet Club Puppet, will you roll a 13-sided die in order to give us which class? And then Old Wolf, you want to help? Then I'll have you roll our subclass, Old Wolf. As soon as we find out what our class is going to be. Raz thinks it's Druid. If anyone else wants to get in, we got an 8, a Paladin. A Paladin. Alright, so we're going to come down here to Paladin. And which kind of Paladin are we going to have? And Old Wolf, I need you to roll a d7 in chat to help us determine. Alright, we rolled a 5. An Oathbreaker. Alright, we have an Oathbreaker out of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Well, yeah, Paladins can be any alignment, Kung Fu. Now, some might lean into some alignments better, but in 5th edition, we're not restricted by alignment like we were in prior ones. See, Afterfov knows how to do this workshop. And you know what's the beauty as well? All right, just so you all know, if you weren't here last night, our first Acolyte here from Elda, she was an Acolyte. However, she is going to fix a wrong in the faith because the corrupt temple hierarchy branded her a heretic. Now, she was a shadow sorcerer, so she was manifesting these like deathly powers. Now we have another Acolyte who manifests deathly powers from a divine source. You can reflavor paladins to not have to be divine. But I would like you all to think about this. How we have an intrinsic and completely random possible character connection through all of the possibilities. Through all the possibilities. Because I want you to take a moment to just savor how this stuff comes together. It writes itself. We have an emote for it. Raz did an excellent job with it. Capital M for Matty Morgs. Lowercase IWI. It writes itself. MMIWI or Iwi. Yeah, you know, you have Uwus and Owos. We have Iwis. It writes itself, everyone. Now, Paladins do have a fighting style. I arrived to Owos for Maddie. Well, there are no coincidences, New Monica. And so, New Monica, I would like you to roll a d4 in chat, please, to let us know the fighting style of this Kenku Paladin. Chris Ayer's hoping for Great Weapon. Perhaps these acolytes knew another after a branding of the heresy. The Paladin renounced their oath and took a new path. Bullet Club, I want these ideas to grow and to be nourished by everything that we're building. Rolled a 3. We do have... Hey, Chris Ayer, we have a Great Weapon fighting Kenku Oathbreaker Paladin. Okay. A Kenku with a great weapon is a nice visual. I mean, it kind of looked like Young Guts from Berserk because he had the spiky black hair. And plus, because Kenkus can mimic noises, if he ever hits a rabbit with a greatsword, it will make the sound like a ka-chunk of a sword on full plate armor. All right, I need to know the age of our Kenku Paladin here. And so we went from an ancient turtle of 50 years to a 9-year-old child prodigy centaur, and let's find out. Let's go to Kenku and get their age range as well as their height and weight modifiers loaded up. And who has not rolled yet? Bubonic One, have you rolled yet? Oh, Lightning Dragon is here. Alright, well then, so Bubonic, I want you to roll a D100, please. And then Lightning Dragon, get ready, because I'm going to have you determine the specific age after Bubonic One contributes 52. Alright, so we have an adult Kenku. So Lightning Dragon, I would like you to type !roll space 1D17 plus 12. And there's no spaces. It's 1D17 plus 12. So we are an adult at 25 years. 25 years old. All right. Is there anyone else who hasn't rolled yet? Because we have a height modifier and a weight modifier as well. I don't know if... is Pouty Lips, are you still here? Or Shade Mage, I know that you had a comment earlier. Daly might still be around. You will never know. You want to roll weight? You've seen a D17. Fascinating. I'm trying to imagine. Like, I know like a D5 has 3 sides, and then they actually use the 2 other sides. And I've seen a D7 for days of the week. There are no dibs, only inspiration. If you type inspiration with a capital I, BTTV will actually recreate that. Oh, you couldn't call it a fair die? Ah. Alright, then what we'll do, Kung Fu Grasshopper, since you're a new person here to our workshop, and I appreciate it, can you give me a 2d8 roll in chat? And then you will never know, I would like you to give me a D6 roll in chat. Dun, 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 dun. All right, we're adding 10 inches to his height, so he is 4'14". And then we're taking that same 10 and multiplying it by 3. And adding it to a base weight, so he is 80 pounds. 80 pounds at 5'2". If he rolls the die, yeah. Let's see. We have a 5'2" bird. We have a 5'3" centaur, and we have a 5'4" turtle. Yeah. Okay, so now we have our placeholders. And Kung Fu Grasshopper, and if anyone else is new here, I hope that you're gonna love how we approach further defining the character. We have an outline, we have a silhouette From the mists of infinite creation, we have an idea. Now let's coax the character to come forward so we see more and more details. And in my opinion, the best way to do this is to start with your character's background. And in this case, our character's background is straight out of the Pahubba. The Pahubba Hubba Hubba Hey. And we're going to go to A for Acolyte. Now, in this case, you know, talk to your DM because maybe Acolytes could be different or you could get a different consideration. Though, if we're going by the book, let's see what this is providing us. Insight and religion are going to be our proficiencies. Then we're going to get 2 languages of our choice, which is going to be interesting because Kenku don't really have a language. Pardon. I'd have to relook at their monster block, but I know that they mimic others. It's not that they can't understand words, but they have to hear the words first, if I recall correctly. Or if I recall correctly. Because when you recall, you're mimicking as a crow. Anyway. So, still, I'm going to put 2 languages here just in case from being an Acolyte. Yeah, Kenku mimicry. Whoop. But maybe they can read the language, yeah? They might be able to read it, if not speak it or understand it verbally. Equipment. We are going to get a holy symbol. We are going to get a prayer book. We are going to get 5 sticks of incense. We are going to get some vestments so that we can perform various rituals. And then we're going to get a set of common clothes and a belt pouch containing 15 gapuz. Hey, Draconic. And our background feature is Shelter of the Faithful. And this is going to give us shelter for those who are following our faith. Now, as we are an Oathbreaker, this could be interesting, and this is a good conversation piece to have with your DM, how this could be affected. If we began by studying a religion and following it, and then we abandoned it for some reason, would we get Shelter of the Faithful from that religion, another religion, or could we find Shelter of the Faithful in some other way? How would that manifest? And so this is something for us to think about as a group too. If not now, then when we look at the party as an entity itself. Alright, now what is our character's personality like? There's a birdhouse in the backyard. Fremelda could have sheltered him. Yeah, I mean, we could have an understudy. Someone who learned these dark ways, perhaps. We'll find out. All right, personality traits. I'm going to scoot this over just a bit. Personality trait number 3. Oh, hey, apparently Fremelda might have. I see omens in every event and action. The gods try to speak to us. We just need to listen. This is a similar personality trait that our Tortle also had. And so we may have a mentor and a mentee relationship here. Does Oathbreaker necessarily mean the religion they broke an oath on? It could be possibly. What it would boil down to, Chris, is as an Oathbreaker, let's step back from what an Oathbreaker means as a word and treat it as a placeholder for a set of mechanics. The set of mechanics, instead of inspiring bravery and such, it bolsters undead, it bolsters fiends, and it causes fear in people. So an Oathbreaker could very well end up being actually someone who swore an oath to a god of death or undeath, or to a god of war, and is an agent on the battlefield of war. So we do need to, there are times where we need to divorce the meaning of the word from what the character will do with what is granted. Just like we had an arcane trickster for our centaur. He's an honest boy. He's a good boy. It just so happens that, his set of skills is labeled as arcane trickster, but he's not a thief. And he's not an intentional mischief maker, though it does seem to happen. And number 4, we have nothing. Nothing can shake my optimistic attitude. So we have an optimistic necromancer. And there's nothing, this absolutely can work. I mean, it makes sense for an acolyte, but just curious if they broke an oath to their king. Perhaps, that's up for us to interpret, as the character may need, Chris. Similar situation to Framelda. She got into a situation that falsely accused her and forced to break her oath, or a great... Oh, wait, no, to Framelda, but you're talking about the he of our Kenku. Or a great evil could befall many. Framelda found him on her own quest for justice, so they have a common foe. Yeah. Yeah, to Baal. Baal, Bane, Mirkul. Yeah. Or they could believe they're following tenets of their old faith, for example. Defending the weak is bolstering the undead. Pneumonica says, if necromancy is simply speaking with and for the dead, as is practiced, then it's legitimately a noble art. And yes, that is another thing to bring up at the table, too. Does your DM, because we're role-playing as PCs, or as players right now, how would this be taken by your dungeon master? Is undeath automatically evil? There are some people who just play no. Once a person's dead, any undeath, it's evil. Let them rest. Let things go that have passed on. But you know what? We have a very optimistic Oathbreaker Paladin. And so good for him. Now, what is his ideal? Number 2, charity. I always try to help those in need, no matter the personal cost. No matter the personal cost, we try to help those in need. We believe in charity. Yeah, necromancers are always trying to raise families and do it right. You got to keep the family together. Oro's going into lurk mode. All right, Oro. And what is his bond to the world? Number 2. I will someday get... Oh! This is also what Framelda had. I will someday get revenge on the corrupt temple hierarchy who branded me a heretic. Oh, a story's a-brewin'. A story is a-brewin' here. It's another excellent connection, after Fov. And lastly, what is his flaw? Is his flaw her flaw also? No, okay, it's not. Alright. I judge others harshly, and myself even more severely. And that ideal is what could have led to the oath breaking, using dark divine magics to bring back some poor citizen's deceased loved one. Hey, Technotron, welcome. We're having an amazing and maybe even a little bit of a spooky time with this character that we're making. Because due to the fickle whims of Statisticus, or RNGesus, or whatever randomized deity you believe in, we're getting a very cool connection between two completely randomly generated characters. No, Bullet. Throw these ideas out there. See what works. See what sticks. Develop this out loud in your head. Because you could have an awesome idea, and we won't know it unless you share it. And I may propose an idea. You may have, honestly, a better idea than I do. I'm here to just say things and for me to throw out something that could stick. But you all might have a very thoughtful connection. Something that's actually deeper or makes better sense. So, we have someone who might even regret the things that he had done. That could have even led to his own banishment. His own being labeled as a heretic by the hierarchy. And this is what set him on this path of the Oathbreaker Paladin. Resurrection magics are delving into necromancy, as it basically is the opposite of raised dead. I know at least in Cormyr, in the Forgotten Realms, there are laws in that land that if you're ever brought back to life from death, like not even undeath, if you're brought back to life, any of your noble titles are stripped from you, and depending, I think if they just outright banish you, if they just don't outright banish you, they'll strip you of your titles, and they'll even sterilize you so that you cannot create any progeny with any sort of claim to the throne after you've already died, even if you are alive again. So these are things to think about in your world. Do you allow resurrection or undeath? And if so, a society is aware of such magics. How does a society handle that? Or does the society not know how to remove the undead tyrant from the throne because she or he has been sitting on that throne for the last 200 years and isn't going to go anywhere? A friend of mine had a setting where if someone is resurrected, they retain their property but are treated as being offspring and inheriting that property, meaning they face an inheritance tax. Oh, jeez. See? I like... Those are good ideas. Like the Sixth Day movie, clones have no rights of inheritance. Yeah, and so think about inheritance and what happens in probate. Yeah, think about Vecna. He rolled 60% of Oath for thousands of years. See a paladin who has a sense of morality so strong that he would sooner take on a dishonor than to do a great evil. So he might be bearing... I mean, he could be bearing, these grievances for other people. And if that gets him labeled as a traitor, if that gets him labeled as a heretic, he's willing to suffer the slings and arrows. He's willing to bear that cross on behalf of other people who will stigmatize him for it. It takes an undead to bring down an undead of the power the Vecna had. Oh, the whole thing with his lieutenant Cass. I always like to bring back people and they have a new view on heaven, or they hate the person that brought them back from such a great place. And that's another good way to look at it too. What does being brought back do to you? Especially depending on where you've been. And also, just because you bring back someone who's willing, doesn't mean that the entities who are holding on to that person, whether it was up, down, or sideways, also may not bear you a grudge for taking that person back. Alright, so this is how we're going to make decisions about the character. It's an awesome prompt. And I would argue, and Grasshopper, tell me if I'm wrong. Pardon me. We have a character right now. There's no numbers, no ability scores up here, but we have a character right now. We've explored his history. We've explored how he came to make the decisions that he does, and we can make those decisions in character. Simply because of the things that we've generated so far. But wait, there's more. I'll scoot this back over. There we go. Now that we have his methodology, his way of thinking, his expression, we can go from the player's handbook and the background to then explore. We need to go to Volo's guide. And find out, we know who he is. Now let's find out what he is as a Kenku. By the way, for any of you that got the Kenku Adventuring Unpainted Minis, this is probably going to look really familiar to you. Bullet Club says, well, with my now dead half-orc barbarian, died for the first time, he came back with a hindered line of sight due to the energies of the Shadowfell filtering out of his body like a virus. Ooh. Now, there's Kenku culture as it's presented by Volos. You might have a DM that says, yep, we're playing exactly this. You might have a DM that say, nah, whatever, you can speak, you don't need to use mimicry. We're going to play with what is presented. Though, if there are particular considerations that come up, then, let's consider the considerations, shall we? Our dexterity score increases by 2, and our wisdom score increases by 1. Our base walking speed is 30 feet. 15... those are... that's our hit die. Hold on. Wouldn't that be nice at level 4? 30 feet, 15 climb, 15 swim, 0 fly. Oh, just have to twist that dagger in the Kenku. Expert forgery. Kenku training. You are proficient in your choice of 2 of the following skills: acrobatics, deception, stealth, and sleight of hand. Given who he is, where do you think his Kenku training would shine through? Acrobatics, deception, stealth, or sleight of hand? If we come down here, if he's been branded as a heretic, he's had to run, he may have to lie to people, or he may have to, suppress. Kind of like what Bullet Club was talking about with, these energies, these dark energies. He may not be leaking dark energy, but he may have to find a way to present himself as a non-heretic when he needs to go back into town. Expert forgery, and that's where the multiple languages come in. Deception for an Oathbreaker is a fit. So we get one more. We get 2 of the following: acrobatics, deception, stealth, and sleight of hand. If we're making the connection with Fremelda, let's see what she has. She may not be able to teach sleight of hand or stealth. She certainly is charismatic for the deception. Alright, so she's not exactly the most dexterous person here. Though she has persuasion, which is probably manifesting as deception in her Padawan. It's just he started his Jedi training a little bit too late. So yeah, I do like deception, and then, given our character... giving him... he might be a strength dex paladin. That could be interesting. For whoever asks, Kenku are crow-like humanoids who suffer from a curse, making them lose their wings, their own voice, and I think their smarts. Yeah, in the lore that's presented, you are correct, Draconic. Let's see. We have another... could he have picked up something from Honey Orchid? Or are we considering them not having met before? That's probably... Well, I don't know. This is indicating... So perhaps in roleplay, these two actually met and say, hey, let's make characters that might have a relation to each other. Acrobatics if he's a martial paladin. We'll go acrobatics. He can do some interesting things despite carrying around a great weapon of some kind. I like it. All right. We have mimicry. You can mimic sounds you have heard, including voices. A creature that hears the sounds you make can tell that they are imitations with a successful insight check opposed by your deception. And then lastly, languages. You can read and write Common and Orin. So we get read and write Common and Orin. But you can speak only using mimicry. So we can only read and write Common, Orin, and two others. Though mimicry lets us repeat things that we've heard. Very good. So now we've made an Acolyte who happens to be a Kenku. And on top of that now... we are going to go to Paladin and make a 4th level Paladin. It doesn't fit with Great Weapon. Well, then maybe if he's learning from the shadows, if he's learning from his mentor who can cast darkness and do all this other stuff, if you don't like acrobatics, let's give him stealth so he can hide in the shadows and the turtle and the crow can work together. Ta-da! I think it works. It's still organic to what we're trying to build, and there we go. Would you want to pick up something that the group needs? No, Kung Fu. It's not bad. It's not bad to do that. In these exercises, so Kung Fu. In these exercises, we are making the characters individually. We do not take the meta of what does the party need. We're making independent characters that function on their own, and they have their own lives and stories that then end up coming together. So it is something that you can do. I imagine there's not many DMs that would force you to make a character in different rooms and then submit them simultaneously with no corrections. You can always say, well, do we have a stealth person? Do we have this? Though for the purposes of our workshops Kung Fu, in order to force ourselves out of that habit, where we take things not because it's who the character is, but we take it for this nebulous concept of the party, as if the party is always together, or the party, the party comes before the characters. The characters make the party. I don't want to call it cheating. I don't want to call it cheating, but it is, if you're making a character that has a certain backstory, but honestly, there's nothing about that character that would make this person rather perceptive. Was never a guard on a wall, never was a lookout or a cavalryman in the army, things like that. If you take perception because you can and no one else has, it's like, what flavor could you have brought besides perception? Anyone can have perception, sure. But what about your character? How did your character live and grow up and be the person that she or he is today? Hark is rolling in from Critical Role. Yeah, it's just a different type of building. And so while we don't use it in the workshop, it is good to talk about. So Kung Fu, you bringing it up is a good thing. And I will not poo-poo anyone who says, well, I don't know, do we have a sneaky person? Because then again, are we building characters, or are we just building slots to fill in a party that's the same party that was a different party in a different module and a different party in a different module? Because the party is, I'm the perception monkey, I'm the stealth monkey, I'm the history buff, and suddenly the parties become homogenous mechanics dispensers instead of made up of 4 unique individuals. Hark, darn my luck, I got stuck with 1080p. Oh, well, Hark, hopefully that option will come back. And D Forgotten One is here too. Hi, Frog. Exhausted Dragon also rolls in, but is less cool than Hark. Well, welcome to you all rolling in. How was Critical Role for you tonight? I hope it was a good show. So we are making 4 levels of Paladin, and then we are going to open up the Dungeon Master's Guide to make an Oathbreaker. Hey, Gracie! At level 4, we have a +2 proficiency, and this is what we're focusing on right here. 2 proficiency, and we are going to have 3 first level spell slots. We are a D10 hit die class, and so we will get 4 D10s that we can spend on rests instead of other resources to regain our hit points, which of course aren't just wounds. They're catching our breath, restoring our energy. It is just that it's a rest, as hit points aren't always scars and guts spilling out. We are proficient with all armor and shields. We are proficient with simple and martial weapons. We have no tool proficiencies, though we have saving throws in wisdom and charisma. Then we get to choose 2 skills from athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, persuasion, and religion. Well, we already have insight and religion from our Acolyte training. I don't know, intimidation might work for this character to try and scare people off. We could have picked up persuasion or medicine from Fremelda. Oh no, I'm sorry, she didn't take medicine. That was our courier. She could have picked up persuasion from his mentor. Can take athletics. So that he's a stronger crow. Oathbreaker, in this instance, Gracie, Oathbreaker is simply the name of the template of mechanics. Don't think of Oathbreaker as someone who has actively broken an oath for this character that we're rolling up. It's simply a reference tag. 100 episode is going to be TravelerCon 3000. I don't... Is this an actual convention? Or is that the name of the title because that's a place that they're going to in their world? We did not take acrobatics. That's true. No, it's not overkill at all, Kung Fu. Not at all. If he's more of a physical person, then give him physical skills. None of the skills are going to make this a broken character at all. Though let's choose skills that are going to be reflective of who he is. I see omens in every event in action. The gods try to speak to us. We just need to listen. Nothing can shake my optimistic attitude. I always try to help those in need, no matter the personal cost. And that could end up being feats of strength. Athletics could be a way that to provide this charity for pushing and dragging. Those are certain hard limits, but athletics can be used to try and leap and perform other feats for people. I will someday get revenge on the corrupt temple hierarchy who branded me as a heretic. I think intimidation is going to be big with this character. Insight we have from being an acolyte already. I like persuasion based on his traits. I judge others harshly and myself even more severely. Then maybe, I don't know, if we help people, then we have medicine. What about medicine? Medicine and intimidation? Or, no, I'm sorry, medicine and persuasion. Oh, you know what we have here? Alright, this is what we have. Again, we gotta shake off that just because he's an Oathbreaker, just because he's not afraid to practice necromancy, doesn't mean he's an anti-hero or a dark, brooding person. He's actually very optimistic. He's joyful. He wants to help people. He wants to mend hearts and minds and bodies. He's a unifier. It just so happens that, the path that he's walking down is going to take him on one that is going to bring him into contact with undead or fiends. And that's fine, because that could end up being a test of will for him. Can you use these powers properly? Yeah, exactly. And we're not letting the alignment run the character either. Everything that we've discovered so far, a neutral character can have. The alignment is simply how your character expresses him or herself. It's what happens after the brain-to-mouth filter or the brain-to-hand filter. There's nothing keeping a chaotic, evil character from going to church on a Sunday and putting $20 in the plate. Because they genuinely want to give $20 to the faith. Nothing, and it doesn't stop them from being impulsive and selfish. That's what chaotic evil stands for. Doesn't mean you burn down orphanages and kick puppies in the street every chance you get. He judges harshly, but tries to convince them to change. Yeah, and so yeah, he gives out these hashtag real talks. He gives out dad advice. He gives out these, he's stern, but he's fair. So yeah, there we go. Now, we're going to get some starting equipment as well. A martial weapon and a shield, or two martial weapons. Well, you know what? He can use a shield. And he has a great weapon, which could... great weapon can also affect versatile weapons, which could be something that can be used in a two-handed instance. But I don't know. I think he's just the type that's going to lean all in. Oh, you're thinking Spear and Shield Bullet Club? Reiterated dad talks. Yeah, Kenku. Yeah, or as Chris is saying, like, he has those come to Jesus talks. My Tiefling's dad and my Triton lives already. Wait. My Tiefling's dead and my Triton lives. Already seen a god, and we have a Mind Flayer pirate ship. That was a heck of a session you had, Wolfblade. Yeah, well, many evil people don't see themselves as evil. You're correct. There are some that wake up and go, I'm a bad guy, and I am going to do bad guy things. It's the difference between Kefka and Sephiroth. Let's go with two martial weapons. Let's go with a glaive. Sure, let's give him a glaive and We're dealing some slashing damage. What about a maul? Kind of like a big gavel. I don't know. If there's another martial weapon... the martial weapon, if we want to make him a dex character too, by the way, everyone... Paladins can use bows and arrows. We can give him a longbow if you want. Just saying. If we want to make him dexterous, we can. Oh... Well, Bullet, hopefully you can find some inspiration here. But this would give him some options as well. Alright, so you want to give him a longbow? Sure. Oh no! Nice as pancake. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. All the same, pancake. I sincerely hope that by spending some time with us, you'll feel better and you'll be able to take your mind off of being sick. Oh no, what got you, pancake? It wasn't our sweet honey orchid, was it? Alright, 2 martial weapons, 5 javelins, or any simple melee weapon. Oh, was it your evil twin Mean Waffle? The Forgotten One, you brought up a valid point. I'm actually thinking a diviner wizard with a charlatan background. Very cool. Uh-oh, nice as pancake. Oh, the bot gotcha. Oh, twisting the dagger. She's already feeling bad, and now the bot just had to take her out back, I guess, and try and put her down. Water. Your dad did it for the second time. I must have missed then. Whatever stunned you for 6 seconds. What was the event, Pancake? If that's what you had talked about before. Oh, actually, hang on. Actually, the chat has preserved it. Literally, my dad cannot make chicken Alfredo. Oh, okay. 5 javelins or a simple melee weapon. Why don't we go... Oh, geez. Well, hopefully your dad's aware that he needs to apparently cook the chicken a little longer. Yeah. What would he have had? Maybe his simple weapon would have been his first weapon when he was going through training. He was an acolyte. In every event in action, nothing can shake my optimistic attitude. I believe in charity. I'll someday get revenge on the corrupt temple hierarchy branding me heretic. I judge others harshly. Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we go for... why don't we actually carry like a gavel around, and that would be a light hammer or a throwing hammer as our simple weapon. Then we're gonna have a priest's pack or an explorer's pack. A priest's pack all the way. He does spread the message. He does spread medicinal healing and the word of whatever this faith or philosophy is. And then chainmail. And he already has a holy symbol. So that would just be redundant. Is he trying to kill me before I reach adult? No! Pancake! What a twist! We can give him a club instead, yeah, Gracie. College is expensive, and that wink, my goodness. At the same time, also debating on doing a different take on necromancy to portray it as a school of life. Yeah, Bullet Club. Necromancy as a study of life. Doctors would study necromancy. Police or other detectives. Those who would use some sort of forensics. They could be lawyers. They could be doctors. They could be certain like crime scene investigators. All of these are good and noble professions that would use necromancy to benefit society. Alright, so we have that. We're going to get Divine Sense. And this is Chop Her Long Rest. We're going to get Lay on Hands. And as we're level 4, we get 20 points to heal. We have our fighting style of Great Weapon Fighting. And we're going to get Spellcasting. Not going to worry about that right now. You imagine this fellow being nicknamed the Obsidian Judge. We are also going to get Divine Smite. Ooh, pardon me, everyone. Divine Smite. So we can blow a spell slot to do more damage. Then we're going to get our Sacred Oath, which is going to give us our Channel Divinity as well. And our ability score improvement. So now we're going to go to our Archetype. And for this, we're going to need the Dungeon Master's Guide. So that we can explore. Doop, doop, doop. The Oathbreaker. Like Judge Dredd. I am the caca! Alright, so we are going to get some Oath spells. We have three first level. Our Oath is going to provide us some spells. We're going to get Hellish Rebuke and Inflict Wounds. And there we go. We are going to get Channel Divinity. Control Undead. And Dreadful Aspect. 4. Level 4. And we don't yet have our Aura of Hate. So there we go. Alright, D-Frog, no problem. Thank you for joining us. He isn't high enough level to cast it yet, so he keeps poking every skeleton. Well, the Control Undead isn't the spell. So the Undead already has to be made. It's just simply that he can command well, he has the chance of commanding an Undead that already exists. Oh, he's going to be too prideful, Pancake? Well, you know, Pancake, you're in a good place for dad humor, for life advice, but also, honestly, being treated like a peer, because, especially with how you're carrying yourself, regardless of your age or how old we are, you have an equal place at our table, and life happens, and we can all share our experiences with it. And I appreciate you coming in and sharing this one, even if it does cause you some digestive discomfort one way or the other. And hello, Ivalon. Feels good to be back in the driver's seat. It is good to have you back, Ivalon. Oh, I'm sorry, Bullet. You were asking I thought you were asking the level of this character. I said 4, but apparently, coincidentally, Gracie's character that you were talking with also just hit 4. Well, there we go. I shouldn't have said everything and just played it off like, oh, of course, level 4. I'm not that slick. Not at all. So now, we know who our character is, we know what our character is, and we know how our character can impact the world. A particular set of skills, as the Liam Neesons might say. It's now time, after everything else, it's now time to actually assign ability scores. Ability scores are one of the last things that we do. And Kung Fu, I hope that that you appreciate this approach as we're building the character, and we haven't even discussed numbers at all. So let's consider these numbers. We have someone who, through the coincidence of random dice rolls, is a mentee to Framelda, who is a very charismatic individual, and so even regardless of the mechanics to a paladin casting off of charisma, our character would have a high charisma anyway. It just so happens that we could benefit mechanically from it as well. Though you can make a completely functional paladin with very low charisma. So what if we put his charisma... You know, I'm actually kind of thinking, if we do 15, 14... 13, 12, 10, and 8? No, he seems to have more wisdom and worldly experience. Let's put his wisdom at 13. And he's going to have average constitution. I mean, he can cocoon himself in armor and cast spells to give him more. He has the ability to lay on feathers himself. So, I don't see him as a particularly tanky paladin. I see him more as someone who needs to exact justice on the spot when he deems it need to be done. So he's going to be more of an offensive paladin. And so I don't think beyond what he was taught from his religion that he didn't get a worldly education. He's 25. He grew up in this a religious organization. He learned those ways, but he wasn't terribly, like, he wasn't given a full education. He may not have graduated high school even. Oh, and he used to be a restaurant manager. ¿Por qué? Well, Pancake, you know what? You have a life story, and perhaps some inspiration for some interesting characters in roleplay. I have a player whose cleric thinks Animate Dead is less costly Revivify. That's more effective because it works on skeletons. It works after a minute. What saving throws will he have to hold? His spells? Can you rephrase that, Kung Fu? Because I'm not sure I get what you're saying. Oh, Chris is throwing down the gauntlet a little bit. Oh, a manager but not the chef? Maybe we found... maybe we found the reason. Uh-oh. Alright, so we have a 14 dex, a 14 wisdom, and then we're going to get to add 2 from our ability score improvement, which we obtained at level 4. And I think that we can do the character justice here if we... We could increase his charisma. He's a really nice person. I'm kind of digging bringing his charisma up to 16. Hey, GM Vault. Game Master Vault. I have been known when I sneeze, not only to keep my sneezes in, but just in case. Remember, I want all of you out there, and I want you to practice with me, okay? I want you to practice the methodology of destroy all bacteria. So when you sneeze, you gotta sneeze into your elbow, alright? I call this dabbing. So, destroy all bacteria. Chris Air, great weapon guy with low hit points is an oxymoron. I got the Maddie dabs, Kung Fu. I deserve to be punished, oh no. Yeah, I've had a couple sneezes that have cracked my back, although at the same time I don't want to get a hernia like what some other people in chat have told me can happen. No, Drizzkill, I'm not sick. And hey, Slayso! Good to see you again. Yeah, good morning to you, Slayso. You let your sneezes go. No, I'm not physically... Yeah, you're correct. I'm not physically sick. Just wacky. Let's fill in our saving throws and our skill, our mods here. 4 insight, medicine, saving throws. 2 animal handling, perception, survival. And then 5 saving throw, deception, persuasion with a 3 intimidation, 3 performance. Our passive perception is going to be 12, because that's 10 plus our perception modifier. And that represents our natural awareness. Now, as we don't have a shield, we're going to go two-handers. Our chainmail is providing us a 16. And so we have a static 16. Our initiative is at a +2. We have 0 dark vision. At level 1, we get 10 hit points because that's our hit die. Then for our remaining hit points, we get half our hit die +1, unless your DM says otherwise. So that's 6. And then for each level, all 4 of them, we get bonus hit points equal to our con modifier. I have a new player doing his session 0 tomorrow afternoon. He'll join our game on Monday. Oh, is this, so this is like the gang getting back together and continuing to play in the game where, unfortunately, you had lost your friend? And also, GM Vault, did you set up that little memorial you were talking about? If so, and you're willing to share, I would love to see it. If you're willing to share that with us. Okay, Gracie, do what you gotta do. Drizzkill, stuff is pretty wild up here. I live in Seattle, work in Kirkland, and just got back from Italy 3 weeks ago. Oh, yeah, oh, jeez. Yeah, apparently you got out, like, as the Independence Day, like, the alien ship destruction wave was behind you. The plane was able to escape. So this is 0 bonus hit points. And we have 18 plus 10, we have 28 hit points. Alright, now, if we're attacking with strength, which we are off of a glaive, we're hitting on a +4. If we're attacking off of dex, which is a longbow, we're hitting with a +4. Light hammer, I don't know if the hammers are finesse. Maybe they are. Still, let's say they are finesse, we could choose. It's still going to be a +4. Because we are both a strong boy and a dex boy. Longbows. Ooh, boy, it's been a minute since I got to roll with a longbow. Let's go to our weapon table real quick, like. Longbows are a D8 piercing, so 1d8 plus 2 piercing. Glaives are 1d10 slashing. 1d10 slashing with reach. And our light hammer is... Oh, that's only light and thrown. So this is going to be 1d4 plus 2 bludgeoning. Yeah, light hammer isn't finesse. It is light, so you can use it as an offhand weapon. Alright, we have no cantrips, but we do have 3 first-level spell slots. And if we're attacking with a spell, we're swinging at a +5. And then we need an enemy affected by us to make a 13 or higher on a save in order to resist the effects of our spells. Is it simply 8 plus your attack modifier? So we come down here, our spell casting, we cast off of Ka! We have a 13 save, a +5 to hit. We had a pool of lay on hands, or I guess lay on like claws or feathers, of 20. And then we are a Paladin. Spells prepared every day equals half our Paladin level plus our Charisma modifier, which is 5. So in addition to the 2 we're guaranteed with our oath, we can prepare any 5 spells from the Paladin spell list, and that can change every day. Now, when we get access to level 2 spells, then we can prepare in here as well. But for right now, we can prepare 5 level 1 spells in addition to our 2 oath spells, and that'll be whatever they are. So here we have someone. It's interesting because we have a Paladin, not the greatest armor class, has a potential for awesome damage output, not a lot of hit points. Our Paladin bird probably hides behind our Turtle Sorcerer, who has a tremendous armor class and can sit in the way, can sit in between our reach-using, glaive-wielding Kenku Paladin and the enemy. And then the Sorcerer can just make a bunch of touch attacks, being in between with an amazing armor class. Because don't always think of Paladins as they have to be the frontline people. Paladins can just be damage dealers in the group. Are you sure your character wasn't a Paladin considering his move? Oh, okay. You're in the other discussion above. Gotcha, Slaso. So yeah, the Paladin can take cover behind the Sorcerer, and both of them are doing things that they're good at doing. And I love this as a party dynamic. And I don't know if any of you ever would any of you consider having a party like this, where the Sorcerer is providing cover for the Paladin, and the Sorcerer is being the defensive one, and the Paladin's being the damage dealer? It's beautiful. This is why I love this kind of interaction and the randomization, because it opens up so many potentials to us, things that perhaps we never considered before. No problem, After Fall. We're actually going to get up and take a break. Besides a name, and I would love some name suggestions, I'm going to get up and take a little break, and we are going to come back and make our 4th character using the same methodology. So thank you all very much for those who've been participating, and if you want certain roles, spend your inspiration and lock them in now.